Around 1/3 of the country is against Donald Trump's policy of taking children away from their family members at the border as they seek asylum. Now, since there's been backlash toward this policy, it seems that Trump and other administration officials are placing the blame more and more on the Democrats. Even though there is no law indicating that these kids need to be stripped away from their parents, there's complete control in the House and the Senate of Republicans. And Trump is not just the president, but the president who has clearly on numerous occasions exercised complete executive power unilaterally. So if Trump wanted to stop this policy, he could literally do it any moment that he wishes.
He says which? It's his policy.
It's his policy. He's the one who implemented it along with his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
They started it in April. We all saw it with our own eyes when Sessions announced it. But he's going to lie about it anyway, so here they go.
Let's take a look.
Immigration is the fault and all of the problems that we're having because we cannot get them to sign legislation. We cannot get them even to the negotiating table. And I say it's very strongly the Democrats' fault. They're they're really obstructionist. And they are obstructing. If the Democrats would sit down instead of obstructing, we could have something done very quickly. Good for the children, good for the country, good for the world. It could take place quickly. We could have an immigration bill. We could have child separation. We're stuck with these horrible laws. They're horrible laws. What's happening is so sad, and it can be taken care of quickly, beautifully, and we'll have safety.
Okay, no, I'm sorry, Cenk. I have to jump in because this is driving me absolutely insane. First of all, let's be clear about one thing. Donald Trump is holding immigrant children hostage until he gets exactly what he wants from the Democrats. And that includes a border wall. And he also wants to get rid of the Flores settlement. What's the Flores settlement? Well, it offers protection for children who have been detained by the US government. It clarifies how long children can be in custody. It talks about how these children need to be treated when they are in detention. He hates that. He wants to get rid of that. He also wants the funding for the border wall, which, by the way, when he was running for president, he said that it was going to be paid for by the Mexican government. Of course, it's not going to be paid for the Mexican government. It's going to be paid by US taxpayers. Secondly, there has been attempts at bipartisan legislation, but Trump doesn't think that it goes far enough. Democrats and Republicans have gotten together. There were 2 bills proposed, and Trump said on the record that he will not sign either one of those bills because it is not hard on immigration enough for him.
So what you just watched from Donald Trump was a ransom note. He said, I've got hostages. It's horrible. It's horrible what could happen to these kids. You never know what could happen to these kids. It's horrible. So now the Democrats should come to the table if they care about those kids and give me what I want. You Republicans, you must be so proud, man. You got all those little hostages and they're breaking our hearts. They're breaking the whole country's heart. And we got a gun to their heads. They're never going to see their parents again, or they're not going to see them for a long, long time unless you build us that wall. By the way, the Democrats, it's not like they're fighting hard. They offered $3 billion for that wall.
That's right.
They shouldn't have offered 3 cents. And Trump said, no, I want $20 billion for the wall. Okay, and at the time, he'd taken the Dreamers hostage. Remember during the campaign, he said, no, the Dreamers, they're good. We're gonna find, you know why? 8 out of 10 Americans say that the Dreamers should have a pathway to citizenship. These are the kids that were brought in not of their own volition, that have lived in America. They don't know where the country that they came from. They don't remember from being there, most of them, and they've been outstanding citizens. That's why an overwhelming majority of Americans agree with them. In fact, over 60% of Republicans agree that the Dreamers should get citizenship. And Trump already took the Dreamers hostage, and it wasn't enough. He's like, all right, I'll start taking babies hostage now. And as they took one baby while a mom was breastfeeding. There's the picture of the 2-year-old today that's being taken. And he says, well, they better come to the table and give me what I want. And again, he tries to get it both ways. I want everything, so Democrats better do a deal with me. Plus, he pretends that it's the Democrats who are doing it. You heard it there. If you don't know the policy and you just landed from Mars, and you just watch that and you believe our leader is honest, you'd think, oh, I can't believe the Democrats are taking the kids away. In another instance, he said, quote, the Democrats have to change their law. That's their law.
There is no law. There is no law. He's lying. There is no law. Why is it that this is now all of a sudden happening under the Trump administration? It didn't happen in administrations prior to his.
If it was the Democrats' law, they had a Democratic president, Barack Obama. Why didn't he separate the kids from their families when they came in? Because it's not a Democratic law. It's a Republican policy. It's Trump's policy.
I want to go to another Trump quote because I thought it was revealing. Trump asserted that children are, quote, being used by some of the worst criminals on earth. Yeah. By you. You are holding them hostage, and you also happen to be a criminal. So, you are literally utilizing these. And another thing that I wanted to mention is how interesting it is that Trump does play hardball in negotiating with those that are weak. Right? With Democrats who are weak. Democrats are incredibly weak. This is an issue that they should be incredibly aggressive about, especially knowing that 2/3 of Americans, based on these polls, don't like what Trump is doing. But Democrats are weak, they won't play hardball. When it comes to an authoritarian dictator like Kim Jong-un, Trump gives them the bananas right away. Right? And so Democrats need to learn something from that. They need to learn to play hardball. They need to learn that, hey, Americans don't like this policy. Americans were told that Mexico was going to pay for that wall. So if I were Chuck Schumer or any other Democrat, I would be on cable news, on every news program I can possibly get on, and talk about how much that border wall is going to cost, how Trump is holding these children hostage. I would share all the videos I possibly can of what these detention centers really look like. I would call out conservatives who claim that they're in favor of family values but support this hideous policy. I mean, but where are they? I don't know. I haven't really heard much from them.
So every once in a while, you'll see Adam Schiff or Ted Lieu talking tough on cable news. That's fine. But Schumer, Pelosi, you're supposed to be the so-called leaders. How about a press conference where you put up a picture of the 2-year-old and you go, Donald Trump took this kid hostage. We're looking to release the hostages. And so Donald Trump is a criminal who took them hostage. Of course, no, we'll get criticized. We'll get criticized. Don't say that. Just let him say whatever he wants, and then we'll sit in a corner and then hope that it plays out the way that we want. Because God forbid we should take any risks and we should fight back. Why don't you show videos of Donald Trump over and over again? Imagine if you did it at a press conference. You know how much press you'd get of Donald Trump saying Mexico's going to pay for it. Mexico's going to pay for it, and they say, how come Donald Trump lied? Or does he have any plan to make Mexico pay for it? Because we're not going to pay for it. He never said we were going to pay for it. He said Mexico was going to pay for it. So until he gets the money from Mexico, we're not having this conversation, and we demand an immediate release of the hostages. Just call him a hostage taker over and over and over again. But Schumer and Pelosi are hiding in a cave somewhere.
I mean, they're so weak, it's pathetic. Kellyanne Conway did as Kellyanne Conway usually does, goes on cable news and just regurgitates the nonsense talking points spouted by Donald Trump. Take a look.
To close the loopholes, these loopholes are allowing open border policies. I think what the president is saying is if the Democrats are serious, they'll come together again and try to close these loopholes and get real immigration reform. Chuck, I don't remember a single Democrat. I could be mistaken. Maybe one murmured it. But in the 1-hour meeting back in January in the cabinet room where the president invited senators and congressmen from the Republicans and the Democratic parties to the cabinet room, I believe that your cable station covered it live and in full. 1 hour. Did this issue come up? The Democrats only want to talk about DACA, the Dreamers. Why aren't they mentioning this?
But in fairness, kids weren't being separated from their parents then. This policy got implemented in April. This policy got implemented in April, the zero tolerance policy, where every migrant, every asylum seeker is treated as a criminal.
And that, well, they are subject to criminal prosecution.
That is an April change, so why would they bring it up in January?
It's adjudicated. What they should have said is, look, we had a surge over the border in 2014, Mr. President, under President Obama, and it shocked everyone, and we simply didn't have the capacity. We want to avoid that in the future and work with you. Look, the Democrats ought to just own it. Why don't they say we're for open borders?
Why even have her on? Why even have her on? Look, Chuck Todd did an okay job in, basically fact checking her. But why have her on? Why? They're just going to say what they usually say. They're gonna lie, just like they do in their press conferences. Why give them a platform to lie again and again and again? That's the thing that drives me crazy about establishment news shows.
I hear you, but they're in power, so they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get someone powerful. There's no way they're gonna resist that siren call. Look, I'll give Chuck Todd more credit. I criticize the established press all the time, right? At least he did fact check her immediately. Did you understand what she said? She said it's the Democrats' fault for not objecting to our policy of taking the kids away in a meeting we had in January. The policy started in April.
Right.
So that makes no sense at all. So she came out with a battle plan of saying, I'm just gonna pick up a lie and go, it's the Democrats' fault for not objecting to the policy when it didn't exist. Kellyanne Conway knows it didn't exist in January. She works for the administration. She's on TV nonstop. She knows. She's like, what do I care? I'm just gonna lie on TV. And when if Chuck Todd corrects me, and that's a big if, but he did there, credit where credit is due, right? If he does, it doesn't matter because the MAGA guys believe anything I say anyway. No, there was a hot tub time machine and the Democrats should have objected. They didn't use their time travel machine, it's their fault. And the MAGA goes, God, that's right. Why didn't they get in the time machine and criticize it before it started? Ha ha, take that. And they'll call Chuck Todd and everybody else fake news. And since their followers are stupid, they think we can say anything we want. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.